The north wall was empty, except for the entrance to the two restrooms. If the stooges came in and started blazing away, Kurtz did not have much recourse except to grab one or more of the civilians to use as a shield and try to get out one of the doors. The drifts were deep out there, and it was dark away from the restaurant lights. Not much of a plan, Joe. Kurtz ate his second hot dog and sipped his Coke. The odds were that the stooges would wait outside for him to emerge, not sure if he had seen them, and gun him down in the parking lot. The stooges weren't afraid of spectators, but this wasn't the exercise yard at Attica. If they came inside to kill him, they'd have to shoot all the witnesses, diners and workers behind the counter included. It seemed excessive, even for the Attica Three Stooges. The oldest of the three boys, 2 booths over, tossed a ketchup-covered French fry at Kurtz. Kurtz smiled and looked at the happy family, wondering whether 2 of those kids, held high, would offer enough bone and body mass to stop whatever caliber slugs the stooges would be firing. Probably not. Too bad. Kurtz lifted 1 foot at a time onto the seat of the booth, removed his shoes, and slid off his socks, balling one inside the other. One of the boys in the nearby booth pointed at Kurtz and started babbling excitedly to his mother. But by the time the sallow-faced woman looked his way, he'd tied the second shoe and was finishing his onion rings. The air felt chilly without socks on. Keeping his eye on the pale stooge faces just visible through the falling snow outside, Kurtz brought out each roll of quarters and emptied them into the double-thick sock. When he was finished, he set the ad hoc sap into the pocket of his pea coat. Assuming that the stooges were carrying handguns and/or automatic weapons, it wasn't quite a fair fight yet. A Buffalo police officer came into the dining area, carrying his tray of hot dogs. The cop was uniformed, overweight, armed and alone, probably on his way home from a day shift. He looked tired and depressed. Saved, thought Kurtz, with only a little irony. The cop set his food on a table and went into the restroom. Kurtz waited 30 seconds and then pulled on his gloves and followed. The officer was at the only urinal and did not turn around as Kurtz entered. Kurtz passed him as if heading for the stall, pulled the homemade blackjack out of his pocket, and sapped the cop hard over the head. The officer groaned but went down on both knees. Kurtz sapped him again. Bending over the cop, he took the long-barreled .38 service revolver, the handcuffs, and the heavy baton from his belt. He removed the cop's hand radio and smashed it underfoot. Then he tugged off the cop's jacket. The rear window was high up on the wall in the stall, was reinforced with metal mesh, and was not designed to be opened. Holding the cop's jacket up to deflect the glass and muffle the sound, Kurtz smashed the glass and pulled the metal grid out of its rusted hinges. Stepping up on the toilet, he squeezed through the small window and dropped into the snow outside, getting to his feet behind the dumpster. East side first. Sliding the cop's revolver in his belt, Kurtz went around the back of the restaurant and peered out into the east parking lot. The stooge called Curly was pacing back and forth behind the few parked cars, flapping his arms to stay warm. He was carrying a Colt .45 semi-auto in one hand. Kurtz waited for Curly to make his turn and then walked silently out behind the short man and clubbed him over the head with the lead-weighted baton. He cuffed Curly with his hands behind his back, left him lying in the snow, and walked around the front of the restaurant. Mo looked up, recognized Kurtz, and started fumbling a weapon out from under his thick goose-down jacket, even as he began to run. Kurtz caught up to him and clubbed him down into the snow. He kicked the pistol out of Mo's hand and looked through the glass doors of Ted's Hot Dogs. None of the workers at the empty service counter had noticed anything, and the avenue was free of traffic at the moment. Throwing Mo over his shoulder and pulling the .38 from his belt, the baton dangling from his wrist by its leather strap, Kurtz walked around to the west side of the building. Larry must have sensed something. He was standing by Kurtz's Volvo and peering anxiously through the windows. He had a Mac 10 in his hands. According to other people Kurtz had known inside, Larry had always sung the praises of serious firepower. With Mo still on his shoulder, Kurtz raised the .38 and shot Larry 3 times. Body mass, head, and body mass again. The third stooge went down quickly, the Mac 10 skittering away on ice and ending up under a parked SUV. The shots had been somewhat muffled by the falling snow.